Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2, where I'm always excited and frequently obligated to introduce the Terran player in the blue from Team Liquid. It's Clem. But on the other side is Nemesis, the bottom right in the red, the Italian Stallion. It's Reynor, a best of 5 Terran versus Zerg, yet again to decide the finals here in the ESL Cup, and we see yet again, Clem and Reynor rising to the top, the cream of the crop. And yet again, I'm begging you for likes and subscribes. And Jimmy, what are we? 1,259 likes on this video, on this series. And I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways. And it'll probably be Clem versus Reynor, at least once a week. But thank you for watching. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. Getting a bit of deja vu. Max Pax occasionally works his way into the rotation, but for the last few weeks, it seems like Clem and Reynor, as Cyril doesn't deign it worthy of his time to stoop to the level of these lower profile tournaments. You know, the ones that have only a few zeros at the end in the prize pool. So that's why we see pretty much the best of the rest, which, and here we are. We have the obligatory, oh my god, he body blocks the drone out of the extractor. Clem maximizing the annoyance on that Reaper. Well done. I hate it. And Brenda, oh my god, not another one. How many? Well, 2 drone kills as Reynor goes to take a third. That is not insignificant damage. He's just gonna run by. He's been doing this. I'm getting such crazy deja vu from last week's games where Clem did pretty much this exact same thing. And it seems to be working again. Deja vu. I've just been in this base before, roasting all the drones, and the queens are very upset. Why is there no creep, Terran? I know. Well, 2 drones down, and we're off to a bit of a hectic start. But 2 drones for those early Hellions and the Reaper. Honestly, well, that combined with the delay on the 3rd base does add up. That 3rd base not being done, less larva, less injects, less creep spread overall. Clem already has his 3rd command center up. So overall, Reynor can't be too hyped about it, but not going to be too upset either, assuming the Hellions don't dart in again and start roasting the drones. All right, let's calm down. A good taste of what's to come here, but there should be I was going to say there should be a slight lull in the action, at least in terms of actually diving into the base, as Clem now building up. He's got stim, he's got his production on the way. Now comes the flirting phase, where you get all hot and bothered by the Hellions mostly. You get poked and prodded by the Liberators. But overall, no real opportunity to do critical damage until you have much more sizable armies. But, caught between 2 sides of it here is Reynor. The Queen's in a tough spot. Is there a transfuse? There is, but that only lets you survive 1 more shot. Oh no. Well, this is starting to become a bit disastrous. Doesn't even get the Liberator. Well, sir, get off my Queen. Well, that was a painful exchange. Barely an exchange at all, as that Liberator is not particularly costly for the amount of damage, emotional and physical, it did. Yeah, it doesn't... When you add up the numbers, it doesn't look so bad. But that amount of mining time lost and attention paid, what Clem has successfully done is not only protect himself from counterattack in any sort of form, but limit Reynor on his side. There are 2 steps to the process. There's aggressive defense, which is because you have the Liberators, you have the Hellions, you keep them alive, you keep them active. There's no way the Zerglings can get anything done on the other side. And then there's just aggression, which is getting damage done, which is usually much harder because it requires significantly more active micro while you're macroing back at home. Of course, Clem no stranger to that, but the summary is it's a lot harder than it looks, and there's about 2 Terran players in the world I'd trust to reliably do it. And those people are Clem and, depending on the day, Maru or Beyond. Rarely the same day. But we've reached the next phase, the bio phase. As now Reynor with a bit of a counterattack, but will he have enough at home to defend? Clem, pretty notorious for sending most of his units across the map, not leaving too much at home, relying on the aggression. 5 SCVs dead. No Bane speed yet. Will define this fight. That's target practice for Clem if he's able to get a beat on him. But coming in again, eventually cleaned up here. A Widow Mine will clean up most of the rest, and those mines are being scattered into the unit composition, much to the dismay of, well, pretty much everyone except for Clem's Widow Mines. Alright, Clem driven back. 75 drones for Reynor. Overlord speed is on the way, so Reynor's, I think, learned his lesson about not having that sort of detection early. Overlord speed. Haven't seen too many players use Overlords to just drag the Widow Mines out. Not Overseers, Overlords themselves. The Queen's getting gunned down. +1/1 is done. And, in fact, Reynor not too far behind on the upgrades. He's already going for +1 ranged attack. Angling towards the Hydralisks here, as Reynor and his lair tech definitely favors it over rushing towards Hive. Another Widow Mine. Oh, that's a pretty solid hit. Finds a chunk of the Banelings. And Clem shoots up 20 supply. Not all in that hit. And the Whoa. Very close. But close doesn't count. Gonna gun down some more, but so far, Clem is able to keep the pressure on. Reynor's counterattack didn't do nearly enough to slow down this kind of mid-game aggression. And Clem, at 9 minutes, after constantly pressuring Reynor, has 4 command centers, is effectively maxed out. Banelings cutting into that a bit. And has 2-2 closing in. Whereas Reynor, still pretty far off that, especially for a Zerg. 94 drones, though. 4-5 hatcheries, and Hydras on the way. And Hydras are about the strongest mid-game army composition you can get. They help a lot against the Widow Mines, the Marines. You can isolate small groups of units and actually take them out, as opposed to having to kind of work with Zerglings, which are not the perfect tool against things like mine drops. Meanwhile, a Doom drop in towards the main. Reynor not nearly enough ready to defend. Clem trying to divide and then conquer. Now the Hellbats out in front. Banelings not enough to roll through. The Marines cutting things down. The spawning pool itself is taken out. Banelings will roll in. Most of the Marines taken out of the main. But the Terran army is still... Bane's working their way through, but he doesn't have a spawning pool. The Queen's needing the hits from the Widow Mines, which is probably best case scenario, as most of them have transfuse energy. The Medivacs trying to keep a lot of this intact, but has Clem overextended. He sent a whole bunch of the Marines and the Medivacs, and sent the rest towards the front. And neither side really had enough to break through reliably. Didn't quite find the connections against the Banelings, and even though he took out the spawning pool, that's a temporary pause in production. It just encouraged Reynor to make more Hydralisks, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. He's got 20 Hydras now, which outnumber either his Zerglings or his Banelings by necessity. Trying to cut through. Hydras are spreading out. The Widow Mine field. Oh, that spread. Can't believe it's not butter. But the Widow Mine's not nearly as effective against these ranged units. Does he have groovy spawns? Indeed he does. The range is done. Oh, drones at the front. He has enough to burn here. If he could sacrifice drones for mines, that's probably a good trade. The Marines and Marauders are continuing to gun their way forward. And the battle will continue at the line on the edge of the creep here. On the ramp, half a dozen mines. Most of them triggered. The rest pulled back into the medevac, but a lot of the medevacs already bruised themselves. Zerglings obliterated by the mines, but the mines are taken out in turn, trying to draw another shot. And no banelings with this army, just now building an infestation pit. 11 and a half minutes in, he's had 90 drones for a while. Reynor getting desperate. He'll reach for the hive. And Clem continues forward. He's got 4, 5. No more command centers, just 5 bases for now. But Widow Mines dragged into the Overseers. They cut both ways. Another shot. But he lost the Overseers, which means a couple more will go off. A scan over to the right flank, even a single base going up. There's not that many bases to take on this map. The Lurker Den is on the way. Hive as well. That'll be the angle that Reynor's working on here. Looking for more. Has to pull back through the mines, but so far, overall, Reynor holding on. But he has the economy to support this. The supplies are not amazing for the Italian Stallion, and the fact is Clem is working in a stronger late-game army composition. He's preemptively building Ghosts, as Ghosts aren't so bad as a fighting unit on their own. If you have the money, it's better to have them and not need them than need them and not have them. Another Overseer taken out. Ghost lines up a shot. Queen wanders in. 2-2 now done. The attack upgrades, but Clem's 3-3. Well, superseded here, giving Clem an upgrade advantage with that bio army. Widowmine softens up a lot of the Zerglings, but the medevacs are getting cornered. Not enough Marines to protect them. Or have I spoken too soon? But there's more Marines down the center. Just tearing through the front. The Hydras come back to defend in time. And Reynor is able to at least drive back one of the drops. Loses a hatchery to the right flank. But it feels like Clem is just leaning on him right now. And Reynor is barely holding. But fighting back is something else. Widowmine! The Widowmine takes out like 3 medevacs there. Probably the most effective anti-air on the field right now. The Ghost's gonna try to turn it around. Clem perpetually maxed out, but he's not banking so much money. He's building a half dozen more command centers. Just the one. Finally, some Lurkers on the way. There's already Ghosts on the field. 4 more in production. Tries to drag the mines out, but unburrows in time. And a couple more mines taken out. Zerglings trying to run in front of everything. Cover for the Lurkers, but a big Lurker counterattack. And actually, Clem, most of his units are in medevacs here. Has nothing to respond to the Lurker counter at the 3rd. Suddenly, Reynor on the offensive. And he knows he has to go quickly, because eventually Clem will have enough Ghosts. He'll have the position. He'll be able to chip away at the Lurkers, get a concave. He needs to take advantage of this opportunity while he can. The mines are being cleaned up. Lurkers, he's actually, wow, out-microing the spines there with the Ghosts. Just some subtle yet effective micro against the Lurkers who don't fire high-velocity instant bullets. Big mistake on their part. And Reynor is desperate. You know how I know? He's building an infester. Just one! But that's one more than he likes to build on your average game here. So, there is a Widow Mine. The Lurkers. Mine. But Clem is getting driven back on both fronts. Any one of these armies he could easily deal with. But now, being pincered between Lurkers on either side, Reynor is trying to keep the momentum in his favor, and that is his best chance of taking this game. Keeping Clem back and just slicing down his economy sooner rather than later. Clem is still maxed out. He's still producing Ghosts, but he doesn't have that much money in the bank. If Reynor can keep this up, he's hitting the planetary. He's taking out the base to the left side. He's working on the center as well. The Ghosts are coming up, but the Lurkers are slicing through. One group of Lurkers is taken out, but another one at the natural just eviscerates the reinforcing Ghosts. The body of the Ghost just ragdolled up with the supply depot. That was amazing. But those Lurkers are taken out. Not as amazing for Reynor. God, the Lurker spines ripping through my eardrums. And through a whole bunch of the bio, we lost the scan! Oh my god, it's a disaster! Oh, puncture wounds across the board! The medevacs are overtaxed and underpaid. Into the main, a couple Zerglings made it by. Clem, now finally taking a real hit to his supply. Reynor's still maxed, and there hasn't been a counterattack of any kind. He's been able to keep the momentum and bounce back here. And this planetary is done. The Banelings are able to take out most of the SCVs alongside the planetary itself. And Clem is down to 150 supply. The Lurkers still have not been dislodged. Just a single moment of missed micro is all it takes. That's just one more moment than we usually see with Clem involved. His army has been whittled down to mostly ghosts now. Are there enough of them? There's only 3 lurkers on the field. Clem has 12 medevacs and 11 ghosts, and there's also some other units, but they're not important. Ooh. The ghost will snipe more. The ghost's not bad against Zerglings on the ground as well, but there's still one more lurker. 21 SCVs down. Reynor does not... He's not maxed out, and he's not banking. He has 1 infester. He's invested in 1 infester. The investor. Here. And now he's getting burrows. I'm sure he built it and then realized that just because lurkers get it built in. Nice splits against the lurkers. Still losing a lot of marines. Clem? He's in trouble town right now. And he's about to be evicted into the next game. If that infestor gets its way, the single one, the closer here. And he's waiting for it. The scan. Did he even see it? Well, if there was ever a time for this, Reynor, there it is! Huge hits! Oh my! The Widow Mines do terrible, terrible damage across the board. Well, that actually didn't do it nearly as amazing. Well, I think he's still dead, but like, that was not the... Well, the difference between a Serral infestor and everyone else's infestors is... He chops your head off on the first try. Reynor here is still hacking at him, but I believe he has turned it around. I mean, 62 mines dead. What a turnaround indeed. Through sheer force of multitasking. Clem at 500 APM, only outdone by Reynor at 600. And I think he was using all of it this game. Clearly. Just taxing Clem past the limit and making the difference. And it is a style that has its weaknesses. If Reynor makes a mistake, or if Clem is 100% on the ball with the ghosts instead of 99. But Reynor was able to keep him busy for just long enough. Clem knows how good ghosts are. He's going to keep going. Reynor's not maxed out. He's actually mined out of 3 going on 4 bases, so... There isn't that. It's not good. It's not good for Clem. There's multiple spore crawlers scattered throughout. I think there were some Widow Mines over there. Clem trying to do some, like, micro-trainer, anti-lurker attacks here. I just don't think... There's not that many scans. A bunch of ghosts getting sliced up. That's it. He's dead, Jim. Waits till every last ghost is dead. Which feels a bit... Yes, GG. A bit dramatic there. Just like the ghost deaths, but... At the end of the day, he will power through. And this time around, Reynor gets the better of him. That looked like one of those games where Clem just leans on the Zerg carapace until it cracks. But Reynor kept his cool. He was willing to lose some battles in order to win the war. Which, a bit uncharacteristic from him to be that patient. Usually looking for an opportunity well before the lurkers. But he waits for it, and it pays off. And that gives the Italian Stallion a 1-game lead. But we'll see if we reach equilibrium after equilibrium. I do appreciate how essentially Cyril's the only player who remembers Burrow with his infestors. Reynor totally built an infestor, saw it, and then tried to burrow and was like, oh yeah. Because without the burrow, well, EMP exists. Even with the burrow, technically, but rarely is that the strat. Alright, time for the drones to get bullied. Standard early game. And we'll continue to watch progressively more advanced Zerg units get bullied. Don't do it. Oh my god, the Brenda, don't. Oh my. I thought he was gonna go underneath with it. Not quite. He was thinking about it though. Just not quite enough HP left over. Starport on the way. Third CC. So, your standard fare here. As we've kind of worked out with the Reaper Scout and the Hellions and such an active in-your-face, quite literally, style, it's almost impossible for the Zerg to sneak out with any sort of early all-in. That is why the Terran feels comfortable enough getting away with 3cc. A lot of the time, if you see a Roach one, you might go for a Banshee. You might have time to build the bunkers. But that's why it's important to kind of have the Reaper and Hellions right on the edge of the creep. Because the moment you're not there, that's when the Zerglings or the Roaches come out. So, Reynor, just trying to keep him poked away. Keep the mystery about him. Keep Clem in the dark as well as he can when it comes to scouting. But it takes a while for anything to get across the map. And there are... Oh my god. Yep, stand right there, Billy. Friendly fire. In every sense of the word. To kill the creep tumor. Something that would have been a highlight reel clip 10 years ago. Now, still pretty cool. But... First Banshee is done. Headed out towards the main. Lair rather quickly, but I think in anticipation of that Banshee getting Overseers and then kind of swinging that into Baneling speed is a common tactic, though he doesn't have Baneling Nest on the way yet. Gold base at the Queens. Well, unfortunately that means there won't be many Queens to deal with the Banshee. The Spore Crawler just a moment late. Loses a couple drones, but the Banshee can back off. Double NG Bay on the way now. No Baneling Nest for Reynor. So, and no Evo Chambers either. Could he? Might he? Mutas? 4 or 5 gases. Uh-huh. Well, that is certainly a commitment. He's going to fill in all 6 gases here, and then I think rely on the gold base income to even out the minerals. But what? Is he just trying to sell Clem on the ideas going for Mutas? The problem is a well-done run-by here. Ooh. 13, 14 drones dead. Burrow is on the way. Now, this is an absolute disaster right now for Reynor. We still haven't seen why he got... There's the Spire and the Bane Nest. Those really needed to be on the way, instead of just now building. Because by the time Mutas or Bane Speed hit the field, the triple threat will be done. The 1-1, the Combat Shield, the Stim with Medivacs, and a whole bunch of Marines. Let alone Widowmines. So, I feel like this is not where Reynor wants to be right now. That was an order of magnitude worse than any of the damage in the previous game. And it doesn't take much to set the Zerg behind against the momentum of a solid micro Terran. All right. Well, he's going to have to build a lot of Zerglings here. Slow Banes are mostly target practice for Clem, but maybe he can try it. The Queens. One on the way. Or done now for Clem. Combat shield filling in. Kind of tell Clem just waiting for it. Waiting for his opportunity. Gets the scan. And picks up, heads immediately toward... It's like, no, actually, sir. There are 13 mutas now in production. But Widowmines are already stepping onto the creep. 2-2 started immediately for Clem. And the mutas will engage the medevacs, but the queens! Oh no! And the queens don't really have the upgrades. They're not going to be able to hold the line here. The mutas are trying to fight. Zerglings getting gunned down. Queens getting gunned down. The Terrans on either side. And Clem with a decisive victory on both fronts, trying to drag the Widowmine hit in, but Clem just jukes back. But wait. The breadcrumbs, the explosive breadcrumbs. Then he just drops out. Oh, it's an absolute disaster. GG. A bit of a muta risk there from Reynor. That does not pay off. Absolute disaster. Oh, not particularly close on that one. So we're all evened up. We've reached equilibrium. What? I think you can shake that one off if you're Reynor. It's one of those games where everything just goes wrong too early. You're not going to bounce. At least Clem is decisive in killing you after that, which is very kind. No sitting back and turtling for Clem. So we're all tied up going into Oceanborn. I want mutas to be more of a thing, but they really have a very minimal role. As I've detailed many times, like, against a Terran player who's on the ball, both in scouting and pressuring early, they're such a big investment that takes so long to pay off. And even when you have them out, you don't necessarily get that investment back. It isn't really like lurkers who, when you get lurkers out, now you have a counter to what's on the field. The lurkers, you deal with the Marines, the mines. Baneling speed is another one. Hydras even are kind of a soft... Oh my god, he lost the track. But the mutas are something that you both have to invest a ton of money into, and then you have to work to make them pay off. And I think they can return more on that investment over time than either Hydras or Lurkers. But the amount of effort and the amount of things that have to go right usually is far too high. The prerequisites are far too high in order to make that valuable. And clearly Reynor was heavily delayed with his Spire. Is that a Cyclone? I mean, not a bad choice. Just haven't seen it out of Clem recently. I don't think it's going to be a Cyclone build. Just building Cyclones, on the other hand, is something else entirely. Good, safe option. Especially, I think it's partially because he's successfully limited Reynor to 2 bases. Maybe Reynor wanted to do 2 bases. But between the SCV he had blocking the 3rd and the Reaper, Reynor is kind of locked into a 2-base timing here against a 3cc Terran. So it's going to be a Roach Barn. It looks like he's rushing Roach Speed. Nidus is on the table. Is there a starport? No. So a very greedy build besides the Cyclones out of Clem here. One which there's definitely opportunity to punish. But the Cyclones are going to force a strong response. I think a very smart move against what he's limited Reynor to. And, of course... Oh, my. Well, the Roaches. Cyclones have a lot of micro potential. The Queens will... well, this is... Huh. 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 Well, this certainly is not ideal for Reynor. I think he wanted a roach speed timing, but Clem just shows up and is cyberbullying him. With Cyclones that... Huh. Well... Those did pretty well. And now he's gonna go back and repair. Roach speed is on the way. Reynor delayed on his early lair tech yet again. There's not much back at home, so he is preparing for the counter swing. And even though there was a lot of damage done on the surface there was a lot, the Queens, the Roaches, the Ravagers, he didn't delay the third. Oh no. But a good Evo Chamber block might be able to minimize the damage the Hellions can do. Please. Please don't let... Okay, 2, 3... Could be worse. The issue here is you really don't want to be on a similar economy to a Terran when you go in Roach Ravager. You want to be slamming the R key with enough roaches to make them sit in their base for the next at least 5 minutes. If not outright kill them. The problem right now is Reynor didn't get up to that 60-something drone count to really spam roaches. He's kind of in the middle ground between a 2-base all-in and just a timing, as he has that double Evo on the way. There's a siege tank already. Looks like he's gonna try to spread and break it. There is only the one. Throwing some corrosive bows up over the top. Clem dodges with the SCV build. Now there's another siege tank ready. Cyclones help out with the Overlord. Combat shield is closing in. Clem's upgrades aren't particularly quick here. He spent a lot of time and money on his infrastructure. So that means, well, both sides did. Which means we're kind of fighting with relatively bare bones units here. The Roach Ravager against unupgraded Marines. They have stim and combat shield, but without those basic upgrades, they're not particularly great against the Roaches. Looks like we're gonna... This one will continue. Neither player gonna find a decisive timing. I would give Clem a decisive advantage, though. As he just scanned and saw the exact timing of the lair. As well as the fact he'll have an upgrade advantage. Or at least he's not going to be behind on upgrades, which is the more important thing. That is the big risk against this sort of composition, that they overwhelm you and you lose the war of attrition. But if the bio has better upgrades, you can pretty much rely on sending a drop or two out while still holding the line back at home. That's what Clem's doing here. A spore crawlers around the edges. Reynor knows the dangers. He's accounted for them. But just a delay. The infestors are out. Burrow almost done. Reynor on top of it. A very unlikely to be broken location at the back, though. Lurker den on the way. Infestors pop out exactly what he needed. Chains the fungals together. And will kill pretty much every single Marine. He gets them all. 5 drones go down to a Widow Mine. Not sure if there was anything else. Had some Marines in those medevacs, but they pale in comparison. Infestors sharking around, medevacs flying. I don't know if Reynor... The Overseer moved off. He's coming back around. Uh-oh. Oh, it's a bit late. Oh, he's gonna micro... Yep, there you go. Triple drop loaded up. And Clem is gonna do exactly that. He's gonna try to split Reynor's army and abuse the fact that the anti-air is so lacking. But Reynor is adding on lurkers. He's got Hydras on the way. I think he got circling speed. Yeah. Adding in links, though. No Baneling nest. Clem. Just random stim. I don't... Aggressive scouting. I don't know if he had all his bio on one hotkey and just stimmed it all. Kind of a weird time to be stimming. The infestors are here. Without the Hydras, though, you can't outright kill the Medivacs very easily. Roach take it out. Scans forward. Single spore in the main. Not going to be enough to shut this down. A bit of Roach Hydra isn't either. Targets down the Hydra immediately. The other army is waiting on the edge of the creep as well. The creep, not particularly far out. Overseer being chased down by a bunch of Marines in the middle of the map, which will not catch it, but bit of an odd situation there. I think what's happening is both players playing a bit odd unit compositions. Clem with the kind of full turtle siege tank ghost, and Reynor with something similar with Hydra Lurker Infester. We've skipped the Ling Bane versus like Marine Mine phase, and instead have gone straight to late game tech, but the Infestors pop up! And the Corrosive Biles come through, but I think they only kill Zerglings at the end of the day. 2-2 about to finish. Reynor is keeping it together. But Clem isn't just sitting back building Marine Marauder. He's got 10 siege tanks, and he's filling in ghosts. He's kind of trading out. He's sending out the Marines Marauders on a one-way deployment, and then rebuilding ghosts and siege tanks behind. Which is pretty gruesome, but remarkably effective. Baneling Nest, Nidus Network. Looks like Reynor going to try to pull Clem's attention apart, and with it, find an opportunity to take a winning fight. Roaches towards the north. The Roaches need to be traded out in much the same way. Nidus at the natural, something to keep him busy, but you look on the mini-map, now all the pieces are moving now. One drop, takes out a hatch. Another drop, going 2 for 2. And taken out. The Changelings are there in solidarity. The drop takes out the Lurker Den. Kind of a key component. He does have the upgrades already, so can just rebuild it. There are 10 Lurkers on the field, but 12 Ghosts now. The Spore Crawlers take out one of the Medivacs, nearly full. The other one badly bruised. How many command centers does Clem have? Yeah, he's building defensive planetaries. He's going full Turtle Terran here. He is hardening his shell. Does he have building armor? Where's your building armor, Clem? Who needs bio upgrades and you could have building upgrades? God. Drop did make it to the back. Spine Crawlers, the backbone of the defense. Viper on the way. The Spine's repositioning, but the Medivac's a bit faster. Just started Adrenal Glands here. There's really nothing back at home to defend. The Spine's way too late. The Queen, well, it was a one-way trip. Marines taken out. But all those late-game upgrades. We're only 13 minutes into the game. These guys speed running straight to the late game. Advanced Ballistics, 3-3. Adrenal Glands. He actually forgot Hydra range. Does he have Muscular? He does have Hydra speed. Full energy Infester sharking around. Clem is now just, it's a challenge to see how many command centers he can build. He has currently 2 planetaries, 3 normie command centers, and 6 orbitals. So that's 11, but he's building 3. He's going up to 14. So his CC per... Oh my god. Well, Reynor did want to replace the Roaches, but that is a bit of an embarrassing way to lose them. Technically, snipes don't one-shot Roaches, but they leave them at so low HP, they might as well be dead. Oh no, he doesn't have detection. Well, the ghost, smart move by Clem, realizing that the lurkers were missing a key part of dealing with the ghost. Now some fungals coming through. So, Reynor actually has a ton of money in the bank. Clem has spent a lot more of his money on his unit composition. Yeah, Clem's unit composition is 4,600 gas, which is the same as Reynor's mineral count for his army. Now, that really doesn't mean anything in particular, besides Reynor is clearly on a cheaper, more expendable army that he can rebuild, but Clem spent everything on his tech, on his infrastructure, and now he has it all. Like, he has every bit. He's going around, special operative, StarCraft ghost over here, even gets away. Oh my god. Joins up with his friends for a co-op mission. No nukes quite yet, but Baneling speed now. But Clem is just... feels like he decided he's turtling this game. And is that a planetary in the middle? Okay, there's a planetary here. He's got planetaries in the choke points. Orbitals. Turrets. Yeah. So technically, the only late game we played so far in this series, he ended up losing, partially because he didn't have those defenses hardened enough. But Clem, where is the building armor? Where's the high-sec auto-tracking? I'm starting to think he's not even a Bronze League hero. Sitting over here with like 15, 16, 17 command centers and doesn't have building armor? Shame. More snipes coming through. Reynor has quite a bank, but Clem is building his up. I think he's slowed down. Well, Clem is maxed out. His army is 24 ghosts. 10 see this is... he's stripped out almost all the bio. He's down to 24, or he's down to like 10 Marines. And there they are, and they actually take out a hatch. As, you know, I'm kind of surprised he actually ran away with those units, as clearly he wants to replace them. If Clem loses this game, which, in my opinion, is becoming less likely as time goes on. Oh, yes! He's doing it! He's killing his own workers with the planetary! Oh, replacing them with automation! Finally, someone does it. I've always thought that sending your workers out for your opponent to kill, while quite a power move, is remarkably inefficient, because you have to wait until they kill them, and then you give it away, and then you have to rebuild. So killing your own workers just lets you keep filling in more and more army. Clem now has enough orbitals to scan twice at all times. So map hacks with, you know, extra carpal tunnel. So he should be able to scan every part of the map that is relevant. And, you know, once or twice for funsies if he feels like it. There we go. High-sec auto-tracking, building armor. Wow. Even when they're not battling across the entire map constantly, every base is taken but one. Now here we go. Looks like Reynor is gonna try to fight, which is optimistic. So now we have to. I've been getting so excited about the Bronze League Heroes-esque nature of this game. I haven't really talked about what the actual endgame looks like. And so what I did in order to... What I want to prepare you for, what I usually do, is I look at the names. And if one of them is Cyril, then I say, huh. Or maybe Dark. I say, huh, well, maybe some infestors can turn the tide. And if the name isn't Cyril or Dark, I say, well, let's hope they mess up their ghost micro. Because I feel like Reynor never really had an opportunity to attack. He never had the economy to do so. So he's been forced to this position. But it requires the infestors. And he's got one! He goes for 2 fungals! The banelings are rolling in! But that was only the expeditionary force. Oh my. There's another Victorian mansion of ghosts behind it. There's a History Channel late night of ghosts. The fungal, he splits. And banelings are not actually, since ghosts are not light units. Well, it actually takes 6 to 7 banelings. I think it depends exactly on the upgrade spread. I think it's 6 banelings with +3, but to kill a ghost. So Clem is now mining from this top right corner. Technically, Reynor has more gas in the bank. But so far, Reynor has also lost 50% more minerals, or 50% more resource. Clem has managed to take the half map as well, so. Are there any Marines left? There are 4 Marines left. No Marauders. There's still somehow a Cyclone from earlier. Clem is rebuilding all the cool units, and also Liberators. And Widowmines. Okay, actually, he's building. The only cool units here are Ghosts and Vikings. Just to be clear, Ghosts and Vikings are the cool units. There are no battle cruisers. Hellbats are pretty cool, in my opinion. We're getting some Nidus mining here. Reynor gonna start doing the, like, mining with the Nidus in order to decrease the travel time. Oh, there goes the gun. Which I think is something you could do with, like, 8,000 APM on a bot. But, like... Oh, that's a nuke. That'll certainly, spice things up. That's one way to deal with the defenses. Reynor backs off. That spine crawler. Well. Liberator. The Vikings get one of the Vipers here. The anti-air isn't. He's got Corruptors. But those are 2-2 Vikings, which are remarkably good against those Corruptors. This is an odd fight indeed, as there are lurkers underneath that can't currently be hit by the Liberators. The Cyclone is still alive! Wait, is that a new Cyclone? That might be an accidental Cyclone. I'm not sure. The Vikings, but Reynor is losing this base. There are still minerals and gas here. Clem is just chewing away at it. I'm not exactly sure how Reynor is supposed to ever engage that ghost ball without a lucky fungal. As, well, Clem doesn't have turrets on the high ground. He does have 11 orbital commands. Here we go, some Brood Lords. 11 orbital commands, 8 planetaries. He's slowed down in the command center production. Ghosts underneath here. Well, Parasitic Bomb quarantines the Viking. Witness me! EMPs. Well, the problem with Brood Lords is that every single part of Clem's army composition counters them. So, some of the Vikings will be caught here. You can't get too close, though. Reynor is running out of minerals, partially because he lost his overlords and needs to rebuild them. And Clem, well, the broodlings will rain down. Actually get one of the ghosts. He needs to fungal in order to zone out so the snipes don't go through. Which is not easily said and even harder to do. Alright, Clem. 5 more broodlords on the way. There's a nuke, which feels a little mean, in my opinion. Reynor coming in with all the broodlords. Parasitic bomb all over everything. He splits. Here come the banelings. The EMPs. Are they enough? He's going back. The nuke lands. And the corruptors over the top. The banelings trick. No, he's super, super dead. Clem is, like... Yeah. If you look, even though the supplies, if you look at the money in the bank. Reynor, it was one of those scenarios where Reynor was crippled early. And he may be able to catch up, but by the time Reynor reaches the finish line, Clem is sitting there with like a riot shield and a sniper rifle. and 4 hands, and a cloaking device. Okay, I'm just describing a ghost now, but you got the idea. And that is where I feared we were headed, and I'm sure both players were not too surprised to end up there either. But credit to Reynor for making an effort of it, as that is one of those games where I would not have blamed him for just throwing it. Like, as soon as he hit Hive, get a couple Vipers, go for it, doesn't work out, tap out next game. But Reynor plays it out, unfortunately, to the expected conclusion. That puts Clem on to match point, which is setting us up for a potential repeat of last week's finals. On Solar is... Reynor needs to turn it around. See, those Cyclones, on paper, like, statistically, it wasn't too bad. But it just really undercut such a key timing and really limited Reynor's options. And Clem just, like, he was just playing... That was a ladder game for Clem right there. Just sit back, build 20 command centers, 30 ghosts, like, throw some nukes in there. Having a good time. Yeah, I like to pride myself. Like and subscribe. On relatively honest commentary. Obviously, you don't want to sit there and say, oh, it's GG any second, because it's not. All right? It can turn. And it's actually kind of rare, both because we usually don't look at lopsided games very often. At least not to cast. But it's rare when we get a game where it's clear where it's headed for so long that it feels almost anticlimactic. But that was one of those where Clem he was just sitting 2 steps above Reynor and bopping him every time he tried to come back up. Like I mentioned, usually what ends up happening is the player who's behind comes up with some sort of timing, some desperate all-in. Occasionally we drag it out to the late game like that, but Clem did absolutely everything right to get himself into a good position. And he's doing everything right so far for the same thing on match... Oh, feels like Reynor's heart isn't in it. The heart of the swarm. This is absolutely unacceptable levels of damage. 8 drones for a Reaper and a Hellion. The Reaper was the distraction. It died in the main, but that is way, like, that is not. Can't have it. All right. Well, this is bad with a capital D. Not untenable, but certainly on the wrong foot. Clem coming in again. There are a few Zerglings, but not enough, as Reynor clearly didn't want to overinvest. But here he goes again. Not gonna get the Evos in time. Gonna try to block out the Hellions, which is already cost... Oh my. Oh my. Oh, by the way, the Banshee's here. Think he has a Spore? These are just straight up ladder. Oh my god. Cloak in 8 seconds. If he kills the Banshee before then, the game isn't over. But if he cloaks, I think Reynor leaves the game. If this was a ladder game, it'd be alright to leave now, by the way. I give my permission. It's not. ESL Cup Finals. Hundreds of dollars on the line. And a bit shameful. But Clem has just had his number 3 games in a row now. Oh, his Spore finishes. Go get the Banshee! Revenge! Okay, Brenda. Oh, there's another one. All right. Ooh. He runs out of energy. I don't even know if he cared about that Banshee. I don't know if that was just a power move there. If Reynor comes back from this, then... well, it's going to be equal parts Clem and Reynor combining for it. This series has gone from dramatic back and forth. Well, game one at least. And this is not as back and forth. This is just fourth so far. But I don't know if the Zerglings get in and kill the entire mineral line, then Reynor might be able. Of course, if the Zerglings are on the other side of the map, that means they're not defending against the Marine push, which is not ideal either. So, no, even my alarm says it's time to stop. Well, that's not what it says, but... well. Clem closes it out with a decisive 3-1. Reynor, unfortunately, slipping dramatically and unable to get back up in time. Clem just absolutely on fire, with fire, roasting so many drones. God, what a nightmare to face. Tough series for Reynor, but I hope you enjoy. I hope I made your day just a little bit better, and I hope that reminded you maybe of your ladder games. But thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Make sure to, if you got the means of motivation, check out Patreon, second channel, as well in the description for more content and streams and all that. And check out Recommended. All right, that's a positive note. But we're gonna see even more games next time. That's how it works. What do you say? Moving on. Good luck, have fun. Stay chill. Wow, that was bad. Okay, well, it's over.